Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp. Today we are working on an existing structure and taking a look around at everything I've built off of that. It's kind of a cool wasteland Scrappy camp that I'm really happy with how it's come out with. Looks very suitable, so let's jump in. So yeah, we're working off of an existing garage that's down at the bottom of the Savage Divide today. This spot's pretty cool, there's a few complications to it, but we've sort of built out from it and created something that's very scrappy, very wasteland, and I'm quite happy with the vibe. It's a nice existing structure build, so pretty pleased. And let's have a look at where we are on the map. So, down at the bottom of the Savage Divide, as I say, just near the ash heap, you see the camp right there. It's a little cluster of houses here. Just up from Garahan Mining Headquarters. There's the estates there, and the disposal field, and there's Foundation just across the way. You can see the little road just by the camp here. That we're basically right on that road, or the cluster of houses is. So if you follow that one up, you should find it as you explore along the road. It's a cool little spot. But as I say, it does have a few little complications. So we've got houses on the left and on the right here, and then there's a garage there. You normally get a few enemies spawning here, but when you've got a camp in place, you find that it sort of stops them spawning, and you just get the occasional enemy wandering up the road or the usual camp attacks, that sort of thing. So it's a decent spot. We do have a few issues with the existing structures being here, though. They're all sealed up, so you can't get inside most of them. And there's a few bits and pieces on the ground that kind of get in the way and block placement of things, which is why I've gone off the back of the garage. But the garage is quite a cool little structure, makes for a good crafting space, so I've sealed it up, as you can see. Used some of the existing bits and pieces, like the truck there, as decoration for the outside, and to shore up the walls a bit. Makes for a nice kind of scrappy wasteland. I found this place and made it my own vibe, which is quite cool. I like it. Lots of little bits and pieces of decoration already in place, like the boxes and stuff there, and the barrels, and the speedboat here. I've added a few extra bits and pieces to kind of close up the gaps on the garage wall and sort of dress it up and make it a bit more interesting as well. We're technically coming in sort of from the back on this one, but the truck bed here in front kind of guides you towards where the entrance is, along with the Vault Boy cutouts as well. So, fairly standard junk wall around the outside of the main area here. I sort of put that trailer at the back there in first, and then use the end of that and the back edge of the garage here to kind of mark out where the ends of the wall were going to be, and then sort of connected the two in a big loop. The ground's a little uneven, so I've used the chain link fences and the encampment pieces as well, where the ground is a bit too sloping for the regular junk walls, so they end up looking floaty. So, all in all, it's come out quite nicely. Nothing too fancy required. Makes for a nice scrappy looking junk wall as well, so that's always good. Got the haunted house chain link fence gateway here, or one of them, that covers this little doorway quite nicely, because you can't snap a door to it, so I wanted some kind of sealed up entrance, but I also wanted to use the garage as the entrance, so it's come out quite nicely. So you've sealed up the otherwise large front edge there. Quite happy with how this come out. Lots of little bits and pieces I've added, but there's lots of furniture already in place here as well, which is kind of a drawback in some ways, because it limits what you can put in here. I managed to get a couple of workbenches in here. Obviously there's the punch card machine there and a few other bits and pieces, but with the existing furniture, you can't move it, obviously you can't scrap it, so you have to work around what's there. But it does give it a more kind of abandoned wasteland scrappy vibe. I do like the shelf up the top there as well. Pity I couldn't have done anything with that, but it does look like there's some stuff stored there. Weapons workbench went in quite nicely on the left there. This little player vending spot on the right that we're turning to now has that was a bit awkward to get in. I put it on top of the boxes here, the stash box and a few bits and pieces, but I had to rug glitch that in. So I put it all together on a rug outside of the garage and then moved it in afterwards, as otherwise it tends to jump up onto the roof, so need to make sure it's not too tall as well. Put a little fence around the edge of the steps and a sort of, for want of a better word, balcony here, just to kind of get a more enclosed, finished vibe. It's not really necessary, but makes the thing feel a bit more complete and creates a kind of walkway. Tuck the armour bench there, as there isn't quite enough space on the inside for it as well. There's a few bits and pieces out here that I would otherwise have put in my usual crafting space, but because of the limited space and the furniture in place, I had to move them outside. So we've got the main courtyard farm area of the camp here that's come out quite nicely. Nice and enclosed by the junk walls here. Get a good look at them from the back here and see the mixture of textures I've used. Basically the corn is the main thing here, but I also wanted to dress it up a bit more, fill the space out, so we've got an adhesive farm on the go as well. The Paranormal Station there, I've rug glitched this one in as well, because getting it to sit on that little bit of concrete there was a bit awkward. See, I've got my shelter entrance tucked in the back corner there as well. But with this particular Paranormal Station, I was able to just put that rug down, the Vault-Tec one, and it sits just inside it quite nicely. And then you pick up the rug and move the whole thing into place. So nothing too fancy, but it worked quite nicely. And then I've got the trailer on the side here as the kind of player home, and also kind of close off this back edge, so I didn't have to wall the whole area off. Made it a bit simpler to do. Nicely dressed it up to make it seem both homely and scrappy wasteland at the same time. Decorating the inside was a bit more awkward to kind of figure out what I wanted to do, because it's quite an open space and I wanted to feel sort of cosy and homely but not overdo it, so there was a balance to be struck there a bit, but it's come out nicely. Used the minecart grill there, which I really like, definitely my favourite of the cooking stations. Used the clean sink, which I don't normally like doing, but the other option I've got available, the rustic one, sticks over the window if you put it in there, so it's too tall. So I went with the one that looked like the right size, really. A little hangout area, chilling area to sit, listen to the radio and watch the defunct TV if you so desire. And use that divider just to kind of separate off the bedroom, kind of make it feel a little bit more private, like the area's separated off by function a bit more. Fairly standard bits and pieces to dress up the bedroom. Use the Vault-Tec Bed for the bedding as per. A few extra bits and pieces around. Forgot to put anything on the magazines down there as usual, but the plushies go quite nicely in there and add a little bit of interest to the bedroom as well. Got the Octosaur one on there from the current season as well. A few little plants and stuff. Lighting in here is the cage light bulbs and then the posters on the wall as well, and it gives that nice warming tungsten glow that I quite like for homely vibes. Actually, the lighting in this place is surprisingly well contained within the camp. Excuse me, hitting myself in the face with the door here. But yeah, it kind of leaks out of the trailer here a little bit, but for most of the outside lighting here, surprisingly, is well contained by all of the walls and the trailer. Doesn't really show too much outside the camp, so it's kind of doesn't attract enemies is my headcanon for it. Of course, it always does because of how it works, but there we go. Makes for quite a nice little wasteland vibe. I do quite like this place. It's very much got my fingerprints all over it, unsurprisingly, but I do like how it's come out. A little bathroom down the end there. It's like the, what is that thing? The gambling machine there on the right in as well, which is out in the new season as well. That's kind of fun. So we've got a little staircase here that steps up onto the concrete foundation of the garage. Obviously I had to put that in myself, and I used my usual floating stair technique. I just lined a regular foundation up to the edge of that concrete. Once I got that in place, I could snap a couple straight through the concrete foundation with no difficulty, which was great. So I took out the first one, snapped the stairs onto the edge of the foundations that were under the concrete, or in line with the top of it. Then took out the first foundation that the stairs were snapped to, then took out the second foundation, and it left the stairs there floating quite nicely, and worked out quite well. So yeah, I've used the chain link here on the back of the back wall here where the large entrance of the garage is, just because that truck outside kind of gets in the way for anything else, otherwise it clipped too far inside the building and I didn't really want it sticking out too much. But the chain link went in the gap quite nicely there. Got a few wall signs and stuff to board up the otherwise large gaps in this wall as well that come out quite nicely. Yeah, I like this spot. It's kind of organic wasteland build that incorporates an existing structure, which I do enjoy doing as well. And it can be a bit awkward to do that in 76 sometimes, but this one came out quite nicely, I think. I should dress it up fairly well as well. I felt I did need to put the Vault Boy cutouts in, because finding that entrance otherwise would be quite difficult. And obviously my player vending is inside the camp, so I need an indicator so people can come around and find the spot. But yeah, really like this place. As I say, nice and organic. Really cool little, very scrappy wasteland vibe that I like doing once in a while. Quite pleased with it. But even the truck fits in quite nicely there, and it makes for a good little turret stand as well, when they don't vanish, which is a weird bug that's in the game at the moment. There we go. You can have a little look at the other buildings here as well. You can kind of build around these as well if you want to. Obviously you can't get inside, but it does create for an interesting area to build. Bar the few bits and pieces on the floor that you can't bulldoze anyway, which is slightly awkward. And there we go. One scrappy garage camp out in the Southern Savage Divide. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do hit those subs and likes for me. I very much appreciate it. Down below the video you can find all the usual social media links, merch store and channel memberships if you want to support the channel in that way. I very much appreciate it. And do join us for our last week of live streams for 2021. We're carrying on, of course, with Fallout and The Witcher as well. And yeah, after a little Christmas break, we'll pick things up again in the new year, but we should have one more camp between now and then as well. So, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.